The entertainer talking sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And again, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, whatever holiday you celebrate. I hope you enjoy it. But in this video, I am going to talk about the New York Giants' current draft position, being that they're picking at number 4. Now, of course, they could drop to number 5. They could, if a miracle happens, move all the way up to number 2. But it's, like a 2% chance. I don't see it happening. They would need both the Lions and the Redskins to pull huge upsets. Packers coming in at 12-3. The Cowboys need the game against the Redskins. I don't see both those teams winning. So I got Chase Young out of my brain, unless they trade it up, which is very unlikely. Now, a more likely scenario, and I'll have a video on this probably later in the week, would be to trade down. And I'd go over, what I'd potentially try to command and what teams I could see being potential trade partners. But this video is about if the New York Giants, in fact, do decide to stay at 4 or 5, depending on what pick they get, and what prospects will be available. Because everybody has talked about, obviously, Chase Young. Well, there's a lot of other good players in this draft, and if we miss out on Chase Young, we could fill other needs on this roster. The New York Giants, of course, have a ton of holes to fill, whether it be on the defense or the offense. The offensive line is subpar. We could certainly use that pick on an offensive lineman, and there are a few offensive linemen there that I could see the New York Giants taking. I listed the top 2. One of them you obviously know. He's been widely talked about in Andrew Thomas. And we'll start there. Andrew Thomas is a beast out of Georgia. Now, a lot of people on my comments have said that he needs to work on his feet. People are worried about taking an offensive lineman that high, being that they're a bust. But it is a position of significant importance, and it's something that cannot be ignored in this year's offseason. If they have a chance and they feel that Andrew Thomas could be a guy that they plug in there for 10 to 15 years, similar to a Quentin Nelson with the Indianapolis Colts. Look at what he's done. Look at the impact that he's had. If they feel like that this guy, Thomas, who is the highest graded tackle to come out of college since, I think, 2015 or 14 by PFF, could have that kind of an impact on this offensive line, might be a great guy to get. It's a safe pick. It's it's a guy that could fill a void. It's not a sexy pick. It's not a pick that's going to sell jerseys. It's not a guy that's going to score touchdowns, but he's a guy that's going to create them, and he's going to protect your quarterback. So I think Andrew Thomas would make a ton of sense if he does indeed fall to 4. Now, I've seen him being mocked at 3. I've seen him being mocked at 5. He could go all over the map. But there's a good chance that the Lions do pass up on him and he does fall to the Giants at 4. If he doesn't fall to the Giants at 4, I think he's the number one guy that I would want there. But if he does not fall to the Giants at 4, there's a number of other prospects that I listed. We'll start with the wide receiver route. I would not go this route. But it is a possibility. The Giants may look at it like if they fill in the offensive line and maybe bring in a couple of pass rushers via free agency, let's go out there and get a supreme weapon for our quarterback. So a CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, those are possibilities. I'm not going to say probabilities, but they could go out there and get these guys. Jerry Jeudy is a supremely gifted wide receiver, and Giants could elect to do what they did for Eli Manning in his second year when they went out there and they brought in Plaxico Burress. And, they figured he'd help out Eli Manning, and he certainly did. And, if you could build up that offensive line, it would be a nice triple threat with a very good young wide receiver in Jerry Jeudy with Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. But like I said, offensive line is much more important. However, maybe they use that money in free agency to do that. I wouldn't go that route. I don't believe in taking wide receivers in the first round, especially early first round. I wouldn't do it, but he certainly would sell jerseys, he'd bring explosiveness, and he'd make this a more dynamic offense. So if the Giants elect to go that route, they could. They also could elect to trade Evan Ingram. A video I'll have up probably tomorrow or the day after. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Christmas, but the day after I'll probably have a video up on that, the prospects of trading Evan Ingram, what I think he can command. And I think it's a move that the New York Giants probably should do. But yeah, that would be another alternative at that pick at 4 or 5. They could go with the wide receiver. Don't think it's likely. Don't see Gettleman doing that, even though he has shown in the past the willingness to take a wide receiver in the first round with the Carolina Panthers. He's also had a bad track record at doing it. Most of them did not pan out to be solid NFL receivers, especially for where they were drafted. Tristan Wirfs is another interesting name. He's another offensive tackle that I could see the Giants deciding to pick. He's very highly thought of. I've seen him moving up in mocks. And I'll be doing a lot more research on these prospects as the draft becomes closer. But he's another guy you want to keep an eye on. Let's say the Lions take Andrew Thomas. Maybe the Giants decide to take Wirfs. Offensive line is really important. They need to get younger there, and that's another guy that they certainly could take to fill a hole in on this roster. And then on the defensive end, 2 guys that I picked out, and I'm sure there's going to be other names. Things are going to change as the combine approaches. Guys are going to rise. Guys are going to drop. But AJ Espensa is a guy that a lot of people like. I think I pronounced that right. To me, he doesn't really fit our roster currently because he does not fit in a 3-4 defensive system. If they transfer to the 4-3, he could be a guy that they look at. He's 280 pounds. He's a very good player. I think he's got like 13 sacks. He's played very well over there in college this year. So that could be a guy they like. A lot of my subscribers have mentioned him. Maybe, but only if we switch to the 4-3. If we stay in the 3-4, don't see it as being a possibility. And then Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons is an undersized linebacker. He could play both the safety and the linebacker. Some think he'll be a safety at the NFL level. Some think he'll be an athletic linebacker. Seems as if he may be translatable to the 3-4 at the linebacker spot, being that he's could be great in coverage. Could be a very interesting prospect and a guy that's been very good in college this year as well. All these guys are also potential guys that the Giants could draft if they were to trade down. Right? I think Jerry Jeudy'd probably be a reach at 4, but if the Giants traded down to 8 or 9, maybe it's a guy they have interest in. Same thing for Simmons, same thing for all these guys. If they stay at 4, I think the most logical guy to take, if he's there, is Andrew Thomas. I think it's a slam dunk. It's an area of need, it's an area of importance, and you're helping out your rookie quarterback for the foreseeable future. And he may end up being a better pick, than Chase Young would have been. Chase Young, obviously, we could use, and we need a supreme pass rusher, but left tackle is just as important. And if he's a Pro Bowl left tackle, which most people think he's going to be, Andrew Thomas could be a slam dunk. So we'll see if he falls to us at 4. And if he doesn't, those are some of the other names I'd be looking at, or guys I'd be looking at if the New York Giants decide to trade down. But that's my take on it. I'm sure there'll be other names, like I said, that'll pop up. And I'll be doing a lot of work this offseason on the draft and guys that I think the New York Giants could potentially bring in and trade down for, things like that. And, obviously late round draft picks. I'll have a lot of content up. But, those are the names. Obviously, since everybody's been talking about Chase Young, those are the names that I think you want to be looking at as potential candidates, which obviously Thomas, probably Wirfs, and the 2 defensive prospects I mentioned in Simmons and Espensa as being the most logical choices. I don't see them taking Lamb and Jeudy, but I wouldn't rule it out. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.